Vancouver marks the second Canadian stop on the Kart FedEx Championship season. A chance for native sons of the land of the Maple Leaf to shine in front of their home fans. 2 weeks ago in Cleveland, the series reached the halfway point, and the collective frustration of 17 drivers trying to catch runaway points leader Cristiano D'Amata began to boil over. Turn 1 at Cleveland was the usual scrum, but the big news was the end of D'Amata's run at a record 5th straight victory.
It's over. It's over. The record is gone.
Dario Franchitti and D'Amata's other title rivals suffered problems of their own. But today is a new day and a new chance for the likes of Paul Tracy, a former winner on the streets of Vancouver. The same goes for Michael Andretti, who has both poles and wins to his credit. He comes into the weekend as the newest owner driver in the series. Welcome to Vancouver, where the champ cars are serious players. You can race the Molson Indy Vancouver, you must first qualify. Welcome to the first of 2 rounds of qualifying on a 1.78-mile temporary circuit around Falls Creek in downtown Vancouver. It's been 2 weeks since the champ cars were in action, and much has unfolded. To get to the news, let's get right to the pit lane and Derek Daly.
Bob, one of the reasons I love to come to these Canadian events is because the Canadian fans are so knowledgeable and passionate about their motor racing. Just 3 weeks ago in Toronto, 175,000 people came to the event over the course of 3 days. Now, last year they had loads to cheer about because the Canadian national team here, the Players Forsyth team, had Tagliani and Carpentier on the front row of the grid. But of course, what a great setup to come here. Just 2 weeks ago, Carpentier had his biggest win ever in the Players team when he won at Cleveland. Now, this morning in practice, we looked at it, and they weren't quite as good because they were 7th and 9th, but that's still a long way ahead of the reigning dominant driver in kart, Cristiano D'Amata, who also lost a chance to have consecutive kart win record taken away at Cleveland with a DNF. Calvin?
Double D, you mentioned that big win in Cleveland by Carpentier, and after the race, many of the drivers felt that physically that was one of the toughest races they've ever had in their car careers. Now, here in Vancouver, it should be a similar deal, not only physically but also mentally. Remember, the drivers now have to get around these street walls for 100 laps on a very tight street circuit. Now, last weekend, many of the teams and the drivers had a chance to catch their breath with one of the very few breaks in this long summer schedule. When they did this, they had a chance to evaluate the season thus far. When they look at the points, they say that man D'Amata has a massive 50-point lead, even though he didn't even finish in Cleveland. Now, the main reason for this is the fact that his nearest pursuers, both Bruno and Dario, have failed to finish in the last 2 races. When you now look at the battle for second in points, it's intense, with 5 drivers separated by a mere 10 points, and one of these guys needs to really develop the consistency to break out of the pack, go after and chase down that pint-sized Brazilian, Cristiano D'Amata. For more news, let's go down to Scott Pruitt.
Thanks, Calvin. Well, no question about it. Townsend Bell's been on the hot seat for a while with all the incidents he's been involved with so far this season. Well, this weekend, he's out, and this man, Oriole, is in. They say for first 5 races. I had a chance to sit down and talk to both Jim McGee and Oriole yesterday, and I believe these guys are going to go for the whole season. Now, don't forget, guys, these guys won the race last year, so there's a bit of pressure. Talking to Oriole, I said, is that good or bad? He said, well, you know, the realistic thing is I know we're coming here with a good setup to start from. Gives me a better chance to get out there and get my job done. So from there down here, let's go back up to the booth. Tommy Kendall, TK, take it away.
Well, that was one big change, but silly season got kicked into high gear last week with the announcement that Michael Andretti had purchased a majority interest in Team Cool Green. Now, if you believe the buzz in the paddock, which I do, Honda effectively financed Michael's entree into ownership. So they'll obviously be running the IRL. The question is, what will Cool do? To answer that question, you need to figure out what Paul Tracy is doing. And Paul was ribbing Michael, saying Michael, as a driver, used to like to get the big bucks. Now the shoe's going to be on the other foot, and he's going to have to deal with me, and I want big bucks. He was kind of kidding, but to my way of thinking, Paul Tracy is the most valuable guy in open wheel racing. Love him or hate him, people tune in to see Paul Tracy. And Michael say, I might not be able to afford him. If you're cool, you can't afford not to have him, because you don't have him, he's racing against you. It gets complicated further because players, he might be even more valuable as a Canadian to players. If either of those teams has a chance to sign him and doesn't, in my estimation, they're brain dead. We're going to have a chance to try to answer that question. Does Michael Andretti have the wherewithal to get it done? In a few minutes.
We're about to find out, and there you have just a taste of the news that's gone on over the past fortnight. And that big championship lead of Cristiano Domata is in danger of being pushed off the front page by the full arrival of the silly season. But there's also the matter of provisional qualifying, and that's coming up shortly. Stay with us. This live Speed Channel presentation is brought to you by Toyota. Get the feeling. And by Bridgestone Tires, advanced technology that gives you a grip on the future. Welcome back to beautiful Vancouver. The mountains this morning obscured by a little low cloud, but it is now blowing off. It is bright sunshine and a beautiful day as we get set for the opening round of qualifying for the Grand Prix of Vancouver. Here's a look at our coverage plans following our live coverage of qualifying tonight at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It's Card Friday night for the world-famous Commodore Ballroom. Derek Daly hosting. Saturday's second round of qualifying comes your way live on Speed at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And then the Grand Prix of Vancouver on Sunday. Live here on Speed, our pre-race program begins at 4 p.m. Eastern, followed by race coverage at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Now we want to take you back a week to Cleveland, like that 2 weeks ago, to Burke Lakefront Airport, where Cristiano Domata came in on the verge of a record 5th straight victory. But it was not to be, as his engine let go after leading the first 19 laps of the race. And then the other pretenders for the title stepped up and fell down. Dario Franchitti, mechanical problems, out, but he remains third in the championship, having gained no ground on Domata. And he was not alone. Second in the title chase, Bruno Junqueira with Target Chip Ganassi Racing also suffered mechanical problems on the wide-open, high-speed airport runways. Finally came down to Patrick Carpentier, who parlayed great driving and terrific pit strategy. A short final stop, 4 fresh tires, and back out to claim his second career win, first on a road course, second this year for the Reynard chassis, and first this year for the Ford turbo engine. And of course, he is a huge favorite coming into this weekend. Here's more with Calvin Fish.
Patrick, just 3 weeks ago, you and the team, by your own admission, had a pretty rough weekend in Toronto. How were you able to turn things around in just 7 days for that big win in Cleveland?
It was very different. It seems like we had our worst weekend. We had so many problems over the weekend with the car and kept coming back in the pits, and then went to Cleveland, absolutely no problem. So, and team players did a great job, man. We had fast pit stop, good strategy, the car was fast, everything happened, so that's what you need to be at the front.
It's a big momentum boost for you. Thinking about next year, it's really the silly season, talking about driver moves and changes for the 2003 season. Does this really, the win, solidify your position on this team, or does it help your cause elsewhere?
Yeah, I don't know really. We're talking to many people. We haven't talked with the team a lot so far. They said they're going to give me an answer very soon. So just keep trying our best, and winning is what's going to get me everything.
Last year here, both you and Tag started from the front row, and either one of you could have won that race. This morning's practice session, see you both in the top 10. Not quite as quick as you showed here last year. Any problems?
For us, we're struggling with the front end going into the corner, but we made some changes this afternoon, so hopefully we'll be able to put one in like we did at Cleveland. That's the key to the whole thing.
That was a great last lap you had there. Good luck this afternoon. Bob?
All right, thanks very much, Calvin. Good luck indeed to Patrick Carpentier and teammate Alex Tagliani. But there is the man who really is at the center of the storm this weekend, Michael Andretti, who joins Adrian Fernandez now as a driver-owner in the series. Let's take you back to last Tuesday and the announcement from Barry Green.
I would like to announce that I have reached an agreement to sell Team Green to 3 very, very good friends of mine. Michael Andretti, Kim Green, and Kevin Savory. Michael will own a majority interest in Andretti Green Racing and will be its chief executive officer.
And that opens a whole new chapter in the Andretti family album as Michael Andretti becomes a driver owner. We'll talk to Michael when we return. In the meantime, the green flag has already flown. Qualification is officially underway for 60 minutes, but as you can see, no one has gone out. Speed Channel is your home of the Formula One German Grand Prix this weekend, where there's already news been made. Mika Hakkinen has told Team McLaren his sabbatical is now full-time. He is officially retired. Check out the story when qualifying comes your way tomorrow, Saturday at 7 a.m. Eastern Time. The race on Sunday at 7:30 Eastern, with an encore showing Sunday night at 9 Eastern Time. We'll be back live to Vancouver in a moment. Welcome back live to Vancouver, British Columbia in Canada, and provisional qualifying for round 10 of the Kart FedEx Championship Series, Kart Grand Prix of Vancouver. Here's a look at the all-time career start leaders in kart competition. And note number 5, Michael Andretti, his 19th season. This weekend he will make his 300th start. Another reason Mikey is making news this weekend, in addition to his status as a future car owner driver in the Kart FedEx Championship. Let's get down to Derek Daly with the man himself.
And he looks remarkably relaxed here prior to qualifying. But Michael, the announcement earlier today in Indianapolis of you becoming a team owner, it really was a very, very big story. When did you think about this whole ownership role, Michael?
Well, actually, I've been thinking about it for quite a few years, that that's what I wanted to do once I retire. And so I mentioned it to Barry at the end of last year that I wanted to get into ownership. And he says, well, why don't you buy my team? And one thing led to another, and here we are.
Okay, you mentioned retire. Does that mean that we can assume you will not drive that much longer?
I don't know. I think that's something I'm definitely going to have to play by ear to see if I want to make sure I'm still able to give 110% to my driving. I don't want that to suffer in any way. And if I feel like it's suffering, then I'll probably get out.
Well, you gave 110% this morning when we saw you lose it and actually back it into the wall. What happened there?
Just stupid. I just lost it on. I still had the rain tires on, and they were starting to go off, and I just went in too hard and lost it.
Now, Michael, yourself and Paul Tracy have had, let's say, an interesting situation that developed many times on the racetrack, one against the other. There's an unusual situation there where you could be Paul Tracy's boss next year. Is it your desire, Michael, to sign Paul Tracy, to sign Dario Franchitti, and keep this team and drivers as they are this year?
Well, that's the goal. We want to keep the continuity going. I think those two are the best guys out there. I really do. And I know firsthand because they're my teammates, and they are really tough. And, part of the reason why Paul and myself had the problems is because he's such a competitive guy, and so am I, and we just sometimes going for the same place at the same time. Neither one of us wanted to give up, But I have respect for that, he's a hard charger, and he gives 110%, and I'd love to have him driving for me.
For a second, I thought you were going to say something else here. Your old man Mario drove till he was 54. Will you do the same thing?
No frickin' way.
Okay, okay, that's it. We know he won't be driving that long, but he is a future team owner and actually is beginning to relish the potential role. Back to you.
Well, you see that young man with the blue shirt behind Michael there. I believe that's his son Marco, a star in go-karts in his own right, talking with grandfather Mario on the right. And the Andretti legacy just rolls on and on. It all began for Michael in the Champ Cars back in 1983 in Las Vegas, where he qualified 15th for his debut in what is now the Kart FedEx Championship Series. Derek Daly was among his rivals in that rookie season. Michael came home 19th on the track, laid out on the parking lots at Caesars Palace. And who could have known then that even though he was the son of the great Mario Andretti, that Michael would go on to 19 seasons and become a champion driver and future car owner. There's another man in the news this weekend, Spaniard Oriol Servia, who has taken over for Townsend Bell in the Vistion car for Patrick Racing. We'll talk to him in just a moment. But first, we want to give you a program note. Be sure to check out Speed News this weekend for all the news for the motorsports world. Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and Sunday, the NASCAR edition begins at 7 p.m. Eastern, with the rest of the motorsports news beginning at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Dave Despain and Rick Benjamin will be your hosts this weekend, so check out Speed News, 7 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, only on Speed. There's Dario. We'll be back.
Mikey, you've won this 7 times. You love the place. You know every inch of it. I mean, this has been good to you, this city.
Now, after she whipped me pretty handily at Long Beach, I made a pitch to her. I said, you know what? Why don't you just marry me? I can be your trophy pit lane husband. So
I like a guy that drives a stick 200 miles an hour.
now, how many beers would it take you to think I was Paul Tracy?
Probably a keg.
Well, Derek, I'm going to throw it back to you and go buy this girl a keg. Back to you, Derek.
Yeah, just a few of the shenanigans you could look forward to when Kart Friday night comes your way live from the world-famous Commodore Ballroom. If it wasn't before, it will be after you catch Kart Friday night tonight at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It's the Paul Tracy VIP party. Derek Daly will host. Tommy will be there. On and on and on. It's been an interesting and apparently short career in this first year for Townsend Bell. There you see one of the incidents in Toronto a few weeks back where Bruno Junqueira was absolutely apoplectic about the young rookie's aggressiveness. Kart parked him in that race. The very next event, a week later, Burke Lakefront Airport in Cleveland, where 4 cars piled up in the first turn, and once again, whether it was his fault or not, one of them was Townsend Bell, the latest in a long string of incidents that the aggressive young rookie has been through. Right now, he has been replaced in the team by this man, Oriol Servia. Scott Pruitt is there.
All right, you got the call last week. You got fitted in a seat. You didn't get in at Burke Lakefront. You came here to Vancouver. You're in the car. How difficult is it for you? You're moving over from a Lola to a Reynard. What is your mindset right now?
It is fantastic. I mean, don't talk to me about difficulties, you know. Difficult was the last 4 months, you know, walking around without a ride. It's fantastic. It's fantastic to be here. It's fantastic to be with the Visteon car. The car I won here last year. I couldn't be in a better place.
Now, as far as, you know, we're talking about the Patrick Racing, the Visteon car, they won this race last year. How does that work out as far as looking this morning and now into qualifying?
This morning I felt really good. Obviously, I could feel like it's been a while for me without being in a car, so I need to get up to speed. But the car felt really good, and it's just been like normal session, just you know, trying to improve a little bit the setup, trying to get up to speed, trying to get the best of the tires, and now qualifying when everybody's going to push, I'll have to push also. But I felt really good, and I think it's going to be a good weekend for us.
Well, best of luck. Now, you got to remember, guys, this is a pretty difficult transition, stepping into a car without any testing whatsoever. So these guys are going to have a pretty big hurdle to jump over, but at least he has 5 races to make it happen. Bob?
All right, thank you very much, Scott. Oriol Servia in with Patrick Racing. Here's a look at their successes over the year. In 30 years, over 750 races, 44 wins, 31 poles, one of the founding teams of the kart series. 3 wins in the Indianapolis 500 and a couple of kart championships courtesy of Gordon Johncock and Emerson Fittipaldi. We are now coming up on 13.5 minutes into this first of 2 qualifying sessions. As we expected, no action on track. That's all coming later. We'll be back live to Vancouver. Welcome back live to the Vancouver Street Circuit. Still no one on track for qualifying, so this is our chance to tell you all about the Mid-Ohio race next weekend. We'll have qualifying next Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Kart Friday night airs at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Saturday qualifying live at 1:30. Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio airs on CBS live on Sunday, August 11th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. This weekend in Mid-Ohio, the AMA Superbikes are in town as Nicky Hayden appears well on his way to ending Matt Mladen's streak of national championships at 3. You can check out the action tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, only on Speed Channel. Now let's get down to the pit lane and talk to one of the fastest men this morning with Calvin Fish.
Well, he was the fastest man on the track this morning, Bob. Kenny Brack, 7/10 over the rest of the field. We've been here before, though, coming into qualifying fast in the morning practice session in the last couple of events, and hasn't quite materialized for you in terms of the pole position. How about today, Kenny? Can you make it happen?
Well, see, it depends. These qualifying sessions are like a poker game, you know. It's a lot by the timing and not getting traffic and stuff like that. So we'll see. Someone's got to get pole. I hope it's us, but we'll see.
The fact that the track typically here changes overnight in terms of rubber going down, being a lot faster on day 2, Saturday qualifying, does that mean that you guys are going to actually gamble a little bit more? I mean, it's really pole or bust. Being high up on the grid is not necessarily going to mean much come Sunday with another qualifying session tomorrow.
Well, it depends. If you get pole, it means something because then you get front row starting position. But otherwise, it doesn't really mean that much. But we'll see what it's. You have to react to what everyone else is doing in these sessions. That's the thing, and you gotta do the right thing at shooting from the hip, so to speak. So we'll see how things shake out.
All right, Kenny. Good luck. Let's go down to Scott Pruitt.
Now, one of the guys getting ready to go out here is Jimmy Vasser. Now, he's going out earlier than they really want to go. The problem is they're in their primary car now. They had a problem with that car this morning, a fuel pressure problem. Wouldn't pick up. They think that the pump failed, some wiring in the pump. They got it changed, got it fixed, and they back into his primary car. He feels, you know what, this primary car has some different things than our backup car. We really feel this is a better car. So they're taking a gamble that this is going to be their qualifying car. They want to go out early, make sure there's no problems with it, make sure there is no issues with the pump problem whatsoever. And talking about cars, this is a Lola. Now, these conditions right now favor balancing things out. This sort of track and these kind of conditions really balance things up a little bit more between a Lola and a Reynard. Reynard wanted to get a little bit better a low-speed mechanical grip, and also these cooler conditions help them balance things out with the aero downforce. So with all those things, it'll be interesting to see how things shake out in the next 30, 40 minutes. Let's go back up to the booth. Bob?
All right, thank you, Scott. We've seen teams pull one car and enter their backups during the course of the season thus far. Of course, Team Rahal has that option. Now, while the pit lane remains quiet before Jimmy goes out, let's join Derek Daly. His topic, the fans here in Vancouver.
And Bob, I mentioned earlier just how knowledgeable these Canadian fans are and how passionate they are about motorsports. Well, I have found a great family here. This is Riley and London Purdy. This is Riley right here, a little girl, and London is a 6-year-old boy from Chilliwack, which is only about 60 miles down the road. But if you look at these, they're fully dressed in Michael Schumacher overalls here, but more than anything else, London, I know you're very knowledgeable. Tell me who your favorite driver might be.
Paul Tracy.
And what about Michael Schumacher?
Yeah, Michael Schumacher too.
I suppose you don't know anything about NASCAR.
I do so. I like Jeff Gordon.
You do? Well, I suppose you don't know anything about Bush.
I do so. I like Michael Waltrip.
Oh, okay. Who's your favorite television announcer? Derek Daly.
Derek Daly.
Okay, good. You see how knowledgeable and passionate these Canadian fans about this motor racing business. Thank you, girls and boys.
Yeah, I also saw that look of sheer wonderment pass across his face.
He's asking his mom, what is a Derek Daly?
What is it? Who? All right. We're getting closer and closer to those opening laps of qualifying. We saw Adrian Fernandez getting ready. Paul Tracy remains cool and on the sidelines. So we'll take a break. This live Speed Channel presentation is brought to you by FedEx, proud sponsor of the FedEx Championship Series. By Porsche, what only a Porsche brings to driving. And by Toyota, get the feeling. Welcome back, guys. You can see a beautiful day here on the shores of the Pacific in Vancouver, British Columbia. We are now 22 minutes and 20 seconds into this 1-hour session with only 45 green flag minutes guaranteed. A couple of drivers have gotten into their cars, but we still have no one on this 1.78 mile 12-turn street course. Let's go to Calvin Fish.
When we look at the practice times this morning, Bob, Cristiano D'Amato way down in 10th spot. There's a good reason for that. He's in his primary car right now, and this car had problems this morning with both the fuel pump issue and boost problems. So they switched to the backup car, and he only got about 5 laps in, and hence he didn't put in a very competitive lap time. Now, they're probably going to send Cristiano a little bit earlier than the rest of the field just to make sure this car is running. They don't want to gamble too much, just in case once they get the car onto the racetrack, it still has some kind of problem. Now, the tires here, we're back to the soft tires that we saw at Toronto. It's really the street racing tire from Bridgestone. They ran at Long Beach, they ran at Toronto. So what we should see here is that the guys will put in their quick lap on about the 3rd or 4th lap out of the pits. Let's go down to Scott Pruitt.
I'm here with Scott Dixon. Scott, it seems like everybody's waiting till the last second to get out there and get their laps done.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think, you see a lot of guys this morning, or this session, actually getting in a lot earlier, especially Cristiano, which I think there's going to be a few that will go real early just because this track's going to be so hard to get a very, clean lap, so tight, and it's going to be the struggle.
Now, this morning, things went pretty good for you guys. Some big struggles. What are you going to be focused on for qualifying?
You know, we tried some development stuff this morning. You know, basically we are trying to find stuff to work with during the weekend because we can't do any testing. But, you know, it didn't really work. So now we're reverting back to, you know, obviously the car's pretty good with Kenny. So I think, you know, we'll try that sort of setup, see if it works for us.
Well, best of luck. Now, you got to remember, guys, they're waiting for the most opportune time to get out here and not get blocked. So as Scott said, they want to try and get out there maybe even a little earlier than they have in the last couple of weeks because they do not want to get blocked. Guys?
All right, thank you, Scott. There's a look at Tony Kanaan, great friend of the late Greg Moore, whose memory's still very much alive here, not far from his hometown of Maple Ridge, British Columbia. Last night at a charity auction that included one of Greg Moore's old helmets, Tony Kanaan picked up that particular item for a cool $22,000 that will go to charity. Number 99, forever in the hearts of the folks here in Vancouver and all along the CART FedEx Championship Series trail. Now let's get back to the issue of qualifying, and we have an expert joining us now, Townsend Bell. Townsend, welcome to the booth.
Thanks. Not the first place I wanted to be this weekend, but if I can't be in the car, just being in the same room with Tommy Kendall's a close second for me.
Oh, man. Talk about $22,000 must be chump change compared to what you had to pay for that comment, TK.
Hey, guys, you're the only guys that don't feel that way.
Townsend, I notice you're wearing the Vistian Patrick Racing gear still. Tell us what the situation is regarding your ride.
Well, still here supporting the team. It was a surprise to me. I was testing Monday and Wednesday last week at Mid-Ohio and Road America and found out Wednesday night that the team was going to evaluate themselves by sticking Oriole in the car for the next 5 races. So I'm here, you know, learning from the observer's standpoint, which is not my first choice. But again, I'll be at all the kart races and talking to everyone. But you know, we'll just see where the future leads us. I'm not really sure right now, to be honest.
Scott Pruitt joins us from the pit lane. Scott?
Now, don't forget, guys, he was in a car a couple weeks ago, but that's rookie testing. He's a rookie this year, and that gives him the opportunity to test. And I also understand that after they leave here, they're going to Denver and do another test with Townsend. Is that right?
Yeah, we'll be in Colorado Springs there on Tuesday. So, you know, it's nice to still get some laps, but, you know, nothing I want to do more than to be out banging wheels with these guys and keep learning.
Now, you are the leader in the run for the Jim Truman Rookie of the Year award and a very substantial check at year end. How does that enter into your plans, preserving that leadership?
Well, no doubt it's frustrating. I'm working hard. You know, I'd like to get back in a race car as soon as possible, Mid-Ohio if I can. You know, I don't know exactly what the situation will be if we end up running a second car. Maybe I end up somewhere else. But for now, I'm here trying to help out the team. I mean, they've been supportive to me up till this point and gave me a great opportunity to get in this show. And, you know, we've had some good races, some not so good races, and it's part of being a rookie in the big leagues. Things don't always work out the way you want, but moving forward, you know, just got to keep my head down, stay focused on getting back in the seat.
All right, Townsend, we want you to stay with us here in the booth whenever it is that these guys venture out on track for our first round of qualifying. Right now, we'll take a quick break, hopefully leaving us lots of time for on-track coverage. There's Alex Tagliani, last year's pole sitter, not close to being ready.
Welcome back to Speed's live coverage of qualifying here in Vancouver. We were going to talk to Paul Tracy, but he said his engineer here, Steve Chalice, was having a panic attack and wants him in the car. Steve, what's the situation?
Well, it's only 20 minutes to go. So
Paul looks pretty relaxed. He's chatting to everyone. Do you need to get him focused here?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Well, I want him in the car. That's definitely part of it. I think everybody else is in the car now, and it's all going to happen in a hurry, and if you're not in the car, you're going to miss it.
Well, Paul's won here back in the year 2000, but it's really feast or famine for him here. I think 7 of the 10 races he's raced here never scored any points. But
right.
You guys had a great run in Toronto, but little mechanical issues with the Lola, new car for you guys kind of into the season. Have you really addressed all of those issues and feel more comfortable with the car now?
Oh, for sure, yeah. We're getting better all the time, but because it was a new car, and it still is, you know, we're maybe have a little bit of problems with that, you know. But there's nothing we can do about it. We just go on and do our best.
All right, mate, good luck. PT was 3rd fastest this morning. Teammate Dario Franchitti 2nd. So these guys should be a factor once we see some running here.
Steve Chalice, a native Canadian from British Columbia, and of course engineer for the late Greg Moore. And you see Mario Dominguez, who has come to be, well, traditionally now the first man on track in these sessions.
The Dick Simon.
There you go.
Of kart racing.
Townsend Bell, what goes into the psychology, if in fact there is any psychology and not just a matter of getting out there and getting your times on the board? What do you go through as a driver when you're waiting for the right moment to go out?
Well, like Scott Dixon alluded to earlier, the big problem here is going to be traffic, just like it was at Cleveland. In the drivers' meeting after qualifying, everybody and their mother got blocked that day. So, it's just a matter of finding a clean lap. The risk they run here with Mario is that second, third, fourth time by, maybe by the fourth time by, there's going to be cars going out on their out laps on cold tires, and oftentimes you can try as hard as you can to get out of the way, but sometimes you're just going to, guy's going to get hosed on half a second or something just by trying to stay clear. So. Again, it's a question of timing. I think we found we'd like to go when everybody's going, just so that everybody's warming up at the same time. Mario looks to be going for TV time this year.
Let me ask you about chassis now. Earlier in the week, in conference calls with the media, Patrick Carpentier and Alex Tagliani weighed in on the relative merits of the Reynard, which they felt might be at a little bit of a disadvantage here because they have to run the car a little bit higher, a little bit softer because of the bumps. What's your read on the Reynard versus the Lola?
Well, I went to Pat when he qualified second at Cleveland. I said, you just blew our whole Reynard excuse. So really, I think there's some spots where the Lola is a bit better. I've seen that following around the track in some of the quicker corners with some of the downforce. But like most people say, I think mechanically speaking in the lower speed stuff that the Reynard's just fine. It can get the job done. It's really a matter of taking what you got and making the most of it. I think early on you saw Monon doing quite well with the Reynard in a lot of places. So it's just up to the teams to make the most of what they have.
Everybody has to run the cars higher, but talking to a few people, the best I could gather, the hypothesis is that when you raise the Lola, it doesn't lose maybe as much downforce. Both cars have to be higher if they're softer, but that the Lola is still more effective at the higher rate.
Yeah, it could be. I really love the chance to do a back-to-back to see how they are different.
Mario Dominguez through the Turn 10 complex, near the Science World exhibit and IMAX Theater. Quick right, left onto the start-finish straightaway, up through the gearbox. Up at 1 minute, 6.951 seconds. That doesn't compare too favorably with Kenny Brack's amazing time in the morning session, 61.359 seconds. We'll take a quick break and return live to Vancouver.
Welcome back to Speed's live coverage of qualifying from Vancouver, British Columbia. You're looking at a picture of the Science World, which also houses a wonderful IMAX theater, and it is part of the backdrop of probably the most picturesque location in motor racing in America. Now, the Barber Dodge series, which is part of the kart ladder system, is over here to our left-hand side. The only and most efficient way to get there, believe it or not, is by one of these wonderful water taxis. But just have a look to the right side of the city here. There's BC Place, that huge facility here where the BC Lions play football. If you turn to the right, you see GM Place. That's where the Grizzlies, the NBA team, ex-NBA team, or ex-current NBA team here, play. Now the Canucks hockey team play there. And as you look to the right side, just look at those mountains. One of the most picturesque locations in all of motor racing here in Vancouver, British Columbia.
Thank you, Derek. Yeah, that Vancouver NBA team now plays in Memphis. It looks like Ashley. Ashley Judd, wife of Dario Franchitti, who is currently on track warming up tires and engine in anticipation of his hot laps. The mountain range nearby includes Grouse Mountain with a wonderful restaurant on top. You go up by a cable car that has to be one of the most spectacular arrivals you'll ever make at a world-class restaurant. And not far away, the great World Cup alpine ski resorts of Blackcomb and Whistler. There's the Erdez machine. Mario Dominguez remains on provisional pole. He has put in 5 laps. This is his 6th. He's carved down his best lap to a 63.539 second tour. Dario Franchitti weighs in at 66.496 seconds. The lap record 60.485, also held by Dario Franchitti. Cristiano D'Amata getting out of the way as he comes up to speed. Now this is down in the support paddock area that Derek was just mentioning, with the Barber Dodge Pro Series, the CAS cars, stock cars, and other support races on this Vancouver street race weekend are paddocked away from the big champ car teams. Turn 9 up to the complex at turn 10 around this small island, losing grip there. See the crowd. There's a wonderful earthen berm on one side. Gives you a great view of the cars making their way through the turn 10 complex onto the start-finish straightaway, heading right for BC Place. And Dario goes to provisional pole, 62.994 seconds. Now, it looks like D'Amata is going very slowly, not getting up to speed at all. I think he has a problem. Calvin Fish.
Well, we just checked in with his crew, and we believe he's still got the same problem he had this morning. I think they're trying to get him to stay offline. I briefly hear the radio communication there.
Have fuel pressure.
There you hear the radio communication with the team, and he's trying to get back here. Now, they had boost problems and fuel pump issues this morning. They changed that in the lunch break and thought the car was going to be fine. When they get it back, they've then got to make the decision. Do they try and fix this car or immediately switch him to his backup car? So time is running out. We thought he'd go out a little bit earlier, which he has, than some of the guys, but only about 20 minutes left in the session, guys.
Well, the team is telling him he has fuel pressure, but the car doesn't seem to be responding as though it does. And it looks like he will make the pit lane. They may have to run down and give him a push to his box, which is at the very far end of this long pit lane. 50-foot-long pit boxes, the biggest we see all year long. Townsend, from outside, any idea?
It certainly looks like something. I mean, either electrical or fuel. It looks like it's limping back there. It's unfortunate. You know, he's been on such a roll. They've done a great job getting that car engineered to the point where it seems easy for them to be at the top of the time chart. So it's these little nagging little problems that can really hurt your championship. But it's early on in the weekend. They should be okay.
Now, as strong as they are, if you get behind, it's sometimes hard to catch back up. Do you think they have enough cushion in their back pocket that if they get things right for tomorrow morning and afternoon?
Yeah, as a two-car team, you're going to have Christian out there running and giving feedback. But again, I feel like D'Amata and the Newman-Haas team have things so well figured out that as long as he gets in the car here that'll run, he'll be okay.
D'Amata immediately out of the car. Scott Pruitt can add.
I actually talked with Cristiano this morning. We talked about, I don't know, about 40, 45 minutes, and that's what was happening. They were frustrated. Two separate problems. One was no fuel pressure. The other was a boost problem. He was hopeful because I only got about 5 laps, but I never even got a chance really to get things worked out. I'm still trying to find the right line around this place with this car. It's a real struggle. We're not happy at all. Let's run down a little further. Calvin Fish. Calvin?
Well, as you said, guys, Cristiano D'Amata has hopped out of the car. He's talking to his engineer, Rocky, there, and they've decided they're going to get this primary car out of pit lane and then switch to the backup car. Now, what's kind of strange is they actually take a lot of the pieces off the primary car and switch them to the backup car. Right now, you see the guys working on the nose. Obviously, the wing settings are very critical. They're taking the pop-off valve off the engine, and sometimes they even take the shocks off the car and switch those over as well. Now, why they're taking the pop-off valve off, if it may still be a boost problem, I'm not sure. So maybe they've identified that it is definitely fuel pressure and the other car should be fine. But running the gamble may cost them here a little bit. Haven't got a lot of laps on a good track here today.
That's the electronic pop-off valve coming off the top of the manifold. Here's a look at how they stand. We now have 12 cars on track and the action is increasing. We'll be right back. Welcome back live to the streets of Vancouver, Canada, where Patrick Carpentier, the winner 2 weeks ago at Burke Lakefront Airport in Cleveland, was on a hot lap in front of his home fans. Fastest part of the racetrack here, up well over 170 miles an hour, and hard on the brakes for turn number 6.
Now, Townsend, you raced here in Indy Lights. If you had to highlight 1 or 2 spots of the circuit that are key to a quick lap, where are they?
You know, that really quick chicane coming off the last section here before the left-hander, before start-finish. A lot of time to be gained going in there deep on the brakes, and you can crash over the curbs. If you get a little too greedy with the curbs, it'll jump the car out of shape. That's one section. Probably the brake zone off the back straightaway into that complex. I think there's some time there. It's a pretty long brake zone.
That's Patrick Carpentier going slowly. You saw him dive into that turn 10 complex. Oh, Jimmy Vassar, who just went to provisional pole.
There goes his lap.
Broke into the 61-second zone. Will bring out a red flag. It now waves, and that will cost him, as Townsend just said, his fast lap. Is that the first thing that pops into your mind in that kind of situation?
It would be, yeah. I think Michael went around there in the practice this morning, similar, and said he tried to drive away, but looks like Jimmy must have stalled there.
Wow.
If he can get push start and get back there, maybe just throw a rear wing on there and he'd be okay.
That's exactly where you were talking about, where there's a lot of time to be gained at the end of the straightaway, and the brake zone A is not straight, and it's also not flat because there's crown of the road there. Is that not correct?
Yeah, it's. I guess that's off the back straightaway, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, down at turn 6.
Corner's confused. Yeah, again, you're trying to get all of it in the brake zone. You know, you can get a couple tenths by being Superman there, and if it all works out, you look great. If it doesn't, then you wind up like this. But good for Jimmy for going for it.
Simple Green safety crew there. I believe that's Dave Hollander looking in and talking with Jimmy right now. Scott Pruitt has more from the pits.
Thanks, Bob. I just got done talking to MJ, Michael Johnson's team manager for Rahal. They're going to try and get Jimmy back. As we talked about earlier in the show, he likes the primary car significantly better than the backup car. I think it's just they're talking back and forth right now to Jimmy, trying to get an observation of what they need to get done. They're very happy with the car, very happy with the car. He said, actually before that crash, I was sitting there just chatting away with him. He goes, Jimmy said, this car is real sweet, it's running real good, and boom, he popped up right to #1. But he thinks we can just get away with changing the rear wing. They're going to get back here, have a good look at it. The rear wing is sitting here in front of me, and they're going to go to work. Bob?
Well, Scott, from the pictures, it looks like that's all he did, really, was take the rear wing off. We're looking at it again.
She turns in, loses the back end under braking. Doesn't hit that hard. The wings come off pretty. I mean, they'll take a quick look at all the suspension, the toe lengths, and so forth. But you know, other than the wing, they might be able to get that back together.
And that will cost him that fast lap at 61.979 seconds.
She'll be fast down the straightaway like that, though.
A little tricky through the kink.
We'll take this opportunity for a break, and that'll leave us plenty of green flag time when we come back. 14 minutes coming up on remaining in the session. Cristiano D'Amata is now into his backup car. You can be sure he's anxious to get back out there. He currently stands 17th. And Kenny Brack, fastest man in the morning session, dead last in 18th. We'll be right back. Welcome back live. Here's a look at the top 5, and you notice Dario Franchitti at the top of the charts as we welcome you back to provisional qualifying for this weekend's Kart Grand Prix of Vancouver. I'm Bob Varsh along with Tommy Kendall. Townsend Bell joins us in the booth. Derek Daly, Scott Pruitt, and Calvin Fish are in the pit lane. Jimmy Vasser was docked his fast lap for bringing out the red flag that has just been withdrawn. That drops Vasser to 8th from provisional pole. Here's a look at Cristiano D'Amata, who went out in his primary, had fuel pressure problems, brought it back in. He's now in the backup. You see the X next to the 6 on the Chevron car. And D'Amata is currently last in the field. Because he withdrew his other car, he goes to the back until he puts a hot lap on this machine. Calvin Fish.
Well, just a quick note on Cristiano. He is in his backup car. Everything seems fine. They did run that car for about 6 or 7 laps, I believe, in this morning's practice session. One advantage that Cristiano has is his pit box location is at the very end of the pit lane. So he was able to get out there first. And the team were on the radios. They had spotters up and down his pit stall, actually looking to see if anyone else was coming out. We're going to be actually warming up their tires as he started his quick lap. So right now you see a lot of traffic out there in front of Cristiano, and it's going to be difficult for him to get a clean lap, but he should have a good race car underneath him.
We show 10 cars on track right now. That first hot lap for D'Amata moved him up to 15th, but he is getting beaten back down as each car comes through, setting a faster time. A fairly dramatic moment for the runaway points leader in the championship. Jimmy Vasser has been bumped from 8th to 9th as he tries to get that car back in shape, get the Shell car back on track. Let's get more on his situation from the pits.
I'm down here right in the middle of it, and it looks like it's just a wing change. It's going to take a little bit of time. They're concerned that they may not get back in the right amount of time. Now, he also paid a penalty at the same time for bringing out that red, not only losing his fastest lap, but also getting a little bit of time allotment taken away, which they're kind of discussing right now. The other thing, I talked to Scott Dixon's crew. They said the car's a little bit loose, but with this red flag coming out, it's going to be very, very difficult to get a clear lap. In fact, almost impossible. If we get a clear lap, he said we'll be pleased. Guys?
All right, thanks, Scott. You see the time remaining now less than 10 minutes as Cristiano D'Amata makes his way around. The order is Franchitti, Tracy, Jourdain, Michael Andretti now up to 4th. Then Alex Tagliani, who served a pit speed violation drive-through, which cost him a hot lap effectively. Is Adrian Fernandez being passed by the black Chevron car of Cristiano D'Amata. Behind Tagliani in 5th, it's Patrick Carpentier, his Players Forsyth teammate. They made up the front row in this race last year. You're watching Bruno Junqueira. Scott Dixon 7th, Shinji Nakano 8th, Christian Fittipaldi 9th, and Tora Takagi 10th. Junqueira currently 18th. Oriol Servia in for our new booth mate Townsend Bell, currently 12th in the Vistion car.
Well, in a weird way, that red flag eliminates the options on the different ways you can go. So once these last few guys are out on the track, you'll have all 18 guys. So there will be traffic, but everybody is running out of time, so they can't be too choosy about where they go. So theoretically, you have everybody operating at qualifying speed. So once everybody gets going, you'll have 2 or 3 laps where traffic might not be that bad.
You see Junqueira just making his way through turn 8 down by the support pit area. Derek Daly is there.
Bob, I can't tell you how much I enjoy my all-access pass here. This is turn 8, and as you can see, the cars behind me as they come through here, what's unusual is the good handling cars take a long, wide arc through here. The cars that don't handle well don't seem to go as wide. Also, on the exit here, the most active traction control is the Ford engine cars. You hear them virtually every single lap.
Derek, I'm not sure you're supposed to be standing quite that close to the action, buddy. There's Dario Franchitti, currently the pole sitter. He has used 8 of his allotted 15 timed laps. Mario Dominguez, who was the first car on track, has used the most. He has used up 10 of his 15. So he'll have another set of hot laps available should he decide to use another set of fresh tires.
And you see Dario crashing the curbs there. Townsend had talked about that is a really a thing that sucks you in. It's saying, come on, you can go deeper, but there is absolutely no runoff. And so I talked to Dario this morning. He's turning in flat on the gas. He's not even going to the brakes, so that first curve there, banging over the left, banging over the right, trying to straighten that up into one braking zone. You have to modulate the brakes, so you're on the brakes off. How does that work?
Well, it's just the case there. If you get too greedy with it, you got to be really careful, especially on a street circuit. It'll bounce you right in the wall. But you know, the straighter you can keep the wheel through there, and the more finesse you can use with the brake and the throttle, the less the car is going to get out of shape. It appears to me the Lolas have a little easier time over curves this year. D'Amatas really uses them a lot in a lot of places.
There's Kenny Brack. He has used just 5 of his laps. He's currently working on his 6th, and he has already jumped up to 2nd in the provisional order behind Dario Franchitti, who has now broken into the 61-second zone. Calvin Fish has more on Dario.
Well, it's always amusing, Bob, to listen into the radio communication between the drivers, even when they're fastest. Dario was screaming, the car is not good, and they're not really the accurate words he was using. I can't really say those on the air. He said, I've got no rear grip, and we need to fix this thing. And he came in, Alan McDonald went to work, did some twiddling with the shocks, and they're back out there.
Now, would you put it past the crew to just go under the hood, so to speak, pretend to twiddle with a few things, tell the driver, okay, she's fixed, off you go. And notice that Kenny Brack is ahead of Dario Franchitti's pace, and he gets right to the wall, driver's right.
And he's a couple tenths ahead. The only way a crew would do that if they had no confidence in their guy. Team Cool thinks that Dario is absolutely world class. Kenny Brack to P1. He gave away almost 2 tenths in the last section, but it was enough to put him up to P1.
How about it, Townsend? Any chance the crew would tell you that they have fixed it?
It depends on the team you're with.
That might be something you would do in testing. You do a blind A change to B, go back to A, just to make sure you're getting feedback. But in the confines of a qualifying session, I can't imagine that going down.
It's like Days of Thunder, man. Special set of matched tires.
That's right.
So Kenny Brack joins Dario Franchitti in the 61-second zone. The only 2 men to do that thus far. Paul Tracy is currently 3rd at 62.188 seconds. Watching Dario's hands. Let's see if it is jumping around on him. Hard to tell from here. Flashing along Pacific Boulevard. That's where Jimmy went backwards into the tires. Vassar's car still being worked on. We now have barely 4 minutes to go in the session, and Vassar is mired in 14th.
Now watch Dario when we get up to that turn 10 complex coming over. Watch him crash the curbs. Oh, he's up.
Oh. Something's.
And he suddenly slows.
Might have been out of gas there.
But he doesn't take the pit entrance.
No.
Trying to get a clear lap, almost got run into by Mario Dominguez, who's trying to hoist himself up out of 17th place. He won't be able to do it. He's going to have to come in. He's used 14 laps, so he's on his 15th. The Mexican will have to bring the car in. There's Paul Tracy. He's just gone to P1. 61.888 seconds. That's an average speed of 103.6 miles an hour. And with all the slow corners around the track, that tells you something about just how fast they're going right here. Scott Pruitt has more.
Yeah, both the Rahal cars are running very good. Unfortunately, they cannot get the wing changed on Jimmy Vassar's car. He's out, very frustrated. He said it was just my mistake. We were actually up 2/10 on that next lap, but couldn't make it pay off. Michel called in. He said the car's a little bit loose, but very sweet. You look at how fast both these cars are running. It holds pretty well for tomorrow.
Big crash, Scott. Bruno Junqueira. And the kart safety team is all over it as Junqueira climbs out.
Wow, he wiped that thing out.
Very messy, and the red flag comes out with...
That's going to be the end of the session.
Yeah, no question about that. Only 2.5 minutes to go. Paul Tracy on provisional pole. Scott Dixon had just moved to second. Kenny Brack to third. And the checkered flag waves with the red. Here's another look at Junqueira.
The right front suspension was already broken there. I wonder if he clipped the inside wall through the kink.
Through the kink, yeah.
Our pictures coming from Canadian television. See Junqueira being tended to on the wall. Paul Tracy climbs out. It's official. P1, provisional pole, a guaranteed front row spot no matter how quick we go in final qualifying tomorrow, and a bonus championship point. The only Canadian driver to win here in Vancouver. He did it in 2000. His best start here was that same year when he started from second position. He can do no worse than that now, no matter what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, two guys, both Jourdain and Tagliani, were on laps that were quicker than the pole lap at that point when the red came out. So those are guys that feel like they've got, you know, a few more bullets in their gun, but they'll have to tool it up. And again, you see the right front is down before he has the big impact with the wall. And like Townsend said, he could have clipped it. If he clipped it back at the kink, though, it obviously didn't fail right. Then it probably failed when he went to the brakes.
Yeah, either a failure or it clipped something there. I want to point out I was nowhere near him when that happened.
Yeah, you can see whatever happened as soon as he went to the brakes, the right, that's
man. Big hit. I see both front suspension failed there. Or I shouldn't use the term failed, but both front suspension to me looked like they were collapsed.
Before he hit on the left side.
Yeah.
There's Junqueira. Dr. Terry Trammell, the orthopedic specialist for the kart FedEx Championship Series, and does such miraculous work from Methodist Hospital in Indianapolis. And you saw how quickly the Simple Green safety team jumped on that. I mean, the car had barely stopped, and these guys came running. Fortunately, they were parked not far away. A massive crash. And that means Junqueira, having caused that red flag with just less than 2.5 minutes to go in the session, he too loses his quick lap, and that drops him down to 13th place. Standing by with our provisional pole sitter, Calvin Fish.
PT, pole position on day one is big here, locked into the front row.
No, that's great. I mean, it's great for Team Cool Green. We've been working so hard all year, and we just haven't had any luck. And I was able to put a good lap together, you know, on that second run on my basically what was my warming up lap to start a run, and then there was a whole line of cars in front of me, and then I was trying to set up. I only had one more lap left, so it's great to have some good luck. I mean, I feel bad for Bruno. It looked like a big crash. I hope he's all right. But, you know, it feels good to be on front row, get an extra point. We're locked on the front row, so that's great.
On your first run, you were very frustrated with traffic, and then the first red flag for Jimmy's crash.
The car is very good, and it seems like every time I get to go, there's a car in front of me, and then a red comes out. So we've just been plagued with that kind of bad luck. So I was finally able to do my time and then have the red come or have, you know, somebody else have a problem. So it's feels good. I mean, I'm really happy for Team Cool Green.
On home soil, you're so strong in Toronto, and mechanical issues with the Lola cost you there dearly with the brakes. I spoke to Steve Challis a little earlier in the show. He said that you guys are getting on top of things. Do you now feel confident with this car that you can drive it flat out and it's going to get there?
For sure. I mean, we're making changes to the car all the time and putting our own little tweaks on the car and what we feel is right for both Dario and myself and Michael. I mean, it's all individual preference, so getting the car right for the driver. And Cleveland was a great race for us. We started 11th and got a 3rd, and we were able to pass people and move forward. So if we can have a good race Sunday, it'll bring us right up in the points.
All right, PT, great job today.
Thanks.
We understand that Bruno Junqueira is okay and out of the car, guys, so that's good news.
There's Dario Franchitti and Adrian Fernandez. Don Halliday as well, talking things over. Everything looks pretty amicable right now. We're told it wasn't quite so amicable a few minutes ago when they were discussing things on the racetrack. Now let's take another look at what happened to Bruno Junqueira. This is in slow motion. In a moment, we'll do it real time and listen to the force of the crash.
And Townsend's right. Both wheels were towed out. So as soon as he hit the brakes, whatever failed, it failed on both sides. You see both front wheels. He had no steering and very little braking at that point when you unweight the front. Even the backs aren't really.
Yeah, the right
ground.
front A-arms looked collapsed to me, like the car, like something had broke on the lower linkage or something. That was a good lick. The first hit was probably against concrete, I think, over there. That's a big hit.
We're being told from the corner stations that it appeared the left front suspension failed before the car first hit the wall. You see the aftermath. That cleanup will go on for a while, but the good news is Bruno Junqueira is out. Now let's go back to that Franchitti Fernandez situation. Scott Pruitt.
We talk about how difficult it is coming off a red and how frustrating it is. You just had some words. What's it like out there?
I'm in here and I came up to see Adrian. I said, Adrian, I didn't get one clear lap my last run there. I'm half a second up on my quickest lap. Easy, good enough for the pole. And I meet Adrian going slowly. The problem is Adrian's meeting somebody else going slowly who's meeting somebody else going slowly right now. So nobody's getting any clear laps. Nobody's getting out of the way. Nobody's respecting each other, as it were. And so some guy screws you up, you screw the other guy up. And it's just a mess. It's just right now we're everybody's on the track the last 10 minutes. Then a yellow comes out or a red as happened there, and that should be over.
You talk about how frustrating it is. Will this make you change or at least look at your strategy exactly when you might go out? I know you have to go out at the last minute to get that quick lap, but you also don't want to get blocked.
You don't want to get blocked, and the problem is if you head out there, let's say after 20 minutes, you end up meeting the people on your quickest lap near the end of your run. You start meeting the guys who are coming out their pits on cold tires, and they don't get out your road anyway. So what do you do? It's frustrating, especially the car is fantastic. I mean, as I said, I'm half a second up. Right now to do the pole position lap wouldn't have been a problem, but unfortunately there's a lot of cars in front of me.
Well, good luck for tomorrow. Dario feeling very confident for tomorrow. Let's go a little further down to Calvin Fish. Calvin?
Well, we're down here with Bill Pappas, who is Bruno Junqueira's engineer. Bill, you've seen on the big screen here at the track the incident. Any clue as to what happened to Bruno's car?
Nah, there was no warning. He had caught traffic. He had just done a really good time, and it was looking like he was going to have a really fast lap on the next one. And I look up on the screen, and the wheels are pointing in the 2 different directions. So I don't know what had happened, whether we had a failure or he had clipped the wall the previous corner. So we'll just have to look at the data and see.
Okay, mate. Well, we understand that Bruno's okay. I know he didn't say anything to you when he got out of the car, but we understand he's okay.
Good to hear. We'll be back tomorrow.
And so will we. Thanks to Bill Pappas. There's a look at the wreckage of Junqueira's car being brought in on the hook with the yellow diaper beneath it. Here's another look at what happened. And both front wheels already bowed out at that point. Oh, concrete wall right there.
It's really odd for both to fail like that.
Yeah, it almost makes you think there's some shared linkage or something for both sides, but glad he's okay.
Well, getting back to what Dario Franchitti had to say about traffic in this morning's practice, Kenny Brack set fastest time at 61.359. No one got within half a second of that in this afternoon's first round of qualifying, which begs the question, why not go out earlier when you have the track to yourself?
Well, you would have to go out so much earlier, like Dario said. If one guy goes out earlier, then probably other guys trickle out 2 or 3 laps later, and they're coming out right when you're trying to do your numbers. So you're kind of trapped like a rat.
I'll take your word for it. We'll take a break. We've got lots more to come here in Vancouver. There's Jimmy Vasser. He's a frustrated man today. But remember, we do have another round of qualifying tomorrow. Stay with us.
Welcome back to CART live qualifying here in Vancouver. Great crowd on hand. Beautiful weather. Jimmy, a little bit of a frustrating, but at least there's a little bit of a silver lining. You guys were hauling the mail, both you and your teammate Michelle.
Yeah, the cars have been good all day today, and it was unfortunate for me. We had a good time there, and then I could see on the cumulative on my dash that I was up on that time and a considerable amount for this far around the lap as I was. So, yeah, the car was giving me confidence. I just rolled it in a little bit too fast, and back came around on me. So, you know, I blew it, and I apologize to the team and everything. But the good news is the car is fast. I think we got a good shot of being on pole, and there's always tomorrow.
Seems like it's been a frustrating season this year. We're just sitting here talking to get it all together. I mean, we never see you spin.
I know. Well, now we do. You're out there pushing hard. You want to squeeze everything out of it, and you're gonna have those incidents, and you're gonna spin a little bit, hit the wall once in a while. But there's good times and bad times. That's not a real good time to hit it, but there's always tomorrow, and we'll see. Hopefully, get the shell car up front and have a good race here on Sunday.
Well, good luck. Let's go a little further down to Derek Daly. Derek?
From one Scott to another Scott. Scott Dixon. Good run, P2.
Yeah, no, it was not a bad afternoon. We had, changed a lot from this morning session. We tried some development stuff, and, credit to the guys. They worked flat out from the last session to this one, and we rolled out late, but, they did a great job. We went out early to see if, the car was going to run properly and things like that. Had a lot of understeer in it for that second set, and we just got our time in just before the red, which, was kind of lucky in some ways, I guess, but, the car was pretty decent.
Thank you, Scott. Of course, his teammate, Kenny Brack, is right over here. Kenny, faster this morning, third place now. Would I be right in saying you have more to come?
Yeah, we do, but it's like a poker game. You got to be out there at the right time and set your time. And we put on new tires and went out the first time and got caught by a red flag, and then was on the par with my morning's time coming onto the kink, the back straight, and it went red again in the end. So we really didn't time the reds that good today, but the target team did a very good job, and so we're happy with third. We'll see if we can get a little better tomorrow.
Kenny, your teammate obviously is Bruno Junqueira. He had that big crash. Any indication from any of the team members or engineers what might have happened to Bruno?
I don't know what happened. All I saw was a pile of junk down there in turn 6, and that's all I saw. I don't know what happened, if something broke or if he touched the wall or whatever. I don't know. I can't say.
He's right there. It was a pile of junk. Calvin?
Well, we're here with the man, Derek, who was on the pole last year and pretty much dominated that race last year, Tag. And today you qualified 8th, but you felt that you had a pole car underneath you.
Yeah, on our last lap, we had a faster lap than a 101.8, and it's a little bit disappointing because it's the first time this year we pretty much see so many red flags and incidents. On our first run, same thing. We didn't have the chance to do a lap because we got caught behind traffic, and the middle run was pretty much not there because we had to do a drive-through. They cut us 62 miles an hour coming into the pit. So it was a bad session for us, and it's not really representative of how the car is fast.
In Toronto, you had a lot of problems with traction control, electronic issues at Laguna as well have really stymied the progress of this team, but suddenly at Cleveland, it all seemed to click. How is the traction control working for you out on the course?
Oh, definitely Ford did a big improvement for us in Vancouver, and I'm really pleased how the way things are going. Our car is quick, and I don't think we're lacking either on power or traction control this weekend.
Okay, Tag, good luck tomorrow. And we're going to be coming back for more interviews with some of the guys who were out there this afternoon. But stay tuned. Speed will give you more coverage from here in Vancouver as kart qualifying is over for Friday.
Welcome back to Vancouver. We've got great NASCAR Winston Cup action coming your way. Trackside from Pocono Raceway comes your way tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And we'll have coverage of Happy Hour tomorrow morning on the East Coast, 11 a.m. Eastern Time live here on Speed Channel. Let's get back down to the pit lane and talk with the main players in today's provisional qualifying. Here's Scott Pruitt.
Michel Jourdain, buddy, great run.
Thanks, Scott. Yeah, I'm very, very happy with everybody in Team Brejalo. The Gigante of Zippot Crew is doing a great job, giving me a very good car, and so we had a good run.
Now, a lot of these guys are talking about how frustrated it was either getting blocked or not getting a good lap like they wanted to. Did the same thing happen to you?
Yes, I mean, I was sure, everybody has the same story. At the end, when Bruno crashed, I had a better lap going. But everybody says the same thing, so I guess maybe I would end up in the same position, But, tomorrow, unless it rains, tomorrow should be faster, so we have to work on the car and try to make it better for tomorrow.
Well, great job. Better luck for tomorrow. Team Rahal having a great run so far this weekend. A little frustrating, but a great run. Derek?
With Adrian Fernandez. Adrian, the pole at Monterrey, Mexico, the pole in Milwaukee. You're a long way down the list today, though. What's wrong?
Well, this morning we, in qualifying, we basically didn't have any laps. The only lap that I have there on the timing is my second lap of the first set of tires. After that, it came the black flag, and then after that, it's in the second part of our second set of tires. It was just basically a lot of traffic. So, I was trying to do one lap, and people were holding on everybody. So it was just a chain reaction.
Okay, thank you, Adrian. Better luck tomorrow. Thank you. So Adrian Fernandez tries to get himself closer to the front and be a realistic challenge to Paul Tracy, but he is a hero of the Canadians right now. We'll be back.
This live Speed Channel presentation has been brought to you by FedEx, proud sponsor of the Kart FedEx Championship Series. Provisional qualifying for the Kart Grand Prix of Vancouver is now complete. Let's get final thoughts now, beginning with Derek Daly in the pit lane.
Bob, I know I told you I enjoyed my all-access pass, but believe it or not, we were only at turn 8. It took me nearly 20 minutes to get back to the paddock, and this is Friday, and this place is jam-packed with a record Friday crowd. I look forward to tomorrow.
All right, thanks, Derek. A little bit further down the pit lane, Calvin Fish.
Well, I think one thing that we've seen here is the fact this week break for the guys have really given the teams a chance to evaluate all of the data that they have. Team Cool Green have come out strong here. Dario's 4th, PT obviously on the pole, and Michael Andretti 7th. I think this team are going to be very strong here this weekend, and they seem to have got around some of the problems with the Lolas. But these guys still play games in qualifying, Scott Pruitt.
Yeah, it just blows my mind. Here they are. There's no cars on track to start out with. These guys wait till the last minute. I get it. I understand. They got to wait till the last possible moment to get there and get that lap. But they also take a chance on getting blocked and a red flag coming out, was exactly what happened today. I think these guys better rethink some of their strategies.
I'm with you completely, Scott. And as I mentioned earlier, Kenny Brack set the fastest time of the day this morning. So you'd think guys would rethink. Paul Tracy, provisional pole, guarantees him a point, and that moves him within one of a three-way tie for 8th in the championship between Michael Andretti, Alex Tagliani, and Scott Dixon. Once again, be sure to join us tonight for Kart Friday Night, live at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time from the Commodore Ballroom. Tomorrow, live coverage of final qualifying, 4:30 Eastern Time. Sunday, our pre-race show begins at 4 p.m. Eastern, and the race itself live here on Speed Channel at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Final thought, TK?
Well, Cristiano who? All the talk for up until Cleveland was Cristiano. He's 16th. So what I want to have happen, I want them to get their problems worked out, be about a half second